Okay, so boom! The scene kicks off with the Shinobi Alliance plotting out their next move. So far, they've been popping their shit, handling business on the battlefield, so all that's left to do is take care of the masked man. But just as they were getting ready to head towards him, a sensory ninja almost shorts his pants after sensing an ungodly amount of fierce chakra coming from that rock. And that is when we see this Egyptian mummy appear at the end of the boulder. So the Kage immediately starts winking off his former Kage, telling them that Gaara must have only sealed off one half of him earlier because his abilities allow him to split in two. But the sensory ninja that alerted them in the first place cuts him off and lets him know that he's not talking about that chump. The presence he senses is unlike no other, and it turns out to be the one, the only Madara Uchihas. That man had the whole battlefield shook, eyes widened, jaws dropped. He needs to close that mouth before it gets stuffed. But regardless of if he closes it or not, he, along with his companions, will be eating an L today. Now, they're all just analyzing this man, arguing over how this is possible. The reanimation jutsu only works on dead niggas, and last time they checked, the Madara they're familiar with was definitely still alive. So who the hell is this dude with the bust down 30-inch blowing in the wind? But to somewhat clear things up, the garden gnome adds his 19 BC ass insight and says that's definitely Madara because it looks just like the man he fought back in the day. Yeah, he not slick, but he just had to slip that little flex in there. Old niggas love dropping random stories from their past. You know, me and Shaq used to play on the same basketball team in elementary school. I'm sure you did, Gramps. Just go ahead and finish that oil change for me. I don't have all day. Madara, obviously filled with questions after getting yanked from the afterlife to come fight, begins to ask the mummy some questions. But as soon as he asks him who the jutsu caster is, the mummy twitches like a roach just crawled up his spine, and in a split second, he regains consciousness. But now it's the greatest bootlicker of all time who's answering his question.
My name is Kabuto. I'm his collaborator.
Kabuto then gives him a little more information on his current situation, stating that this reanimation is special because he's now apparently even greater than he was in his glory days. So Madara whips his neck around to give him that Negro please face, then proceeds to ask him if he would even know what he was like in his glory days, considering the fact that there was no cameras back then, just stones and hieroglyphics, which is exactly why he brought him here, to put his talents on full display. And before Madara could respond, a gust of sand rushes towards Madara, so they both jump out the way. But to make an already pathetic attack even lamer, this man Gaara says,
"Guess we can't take him that easily."
Boy! You cannot be for real.
Well, that wasn't a good idea. Nigga, this is not a sitcom. This is life or death, and you over here being quirky. Lock in. Madara is now standing leveled with them while they all just stare at him, waiting for him to make the first move. But in the most gangster way possible, this man begins to walk him down like he's Michael Myers, cause he knows that this is baby food. You can hear their hearts pounding louder and louder with every little step he takes. No Bobby Brown. Pete Miss Ma in the back praying. For what? Who knows? Cause he can't save you now. The Lord did give you legs though, so I advise you use them and run in the other direction. But of course, instead of taking my advice, she decided to stand there and watch this man start to full-on sprint towards them. And as the other shinobis begin to charge as well, I knew I was about to witness a generational beatdown. So once the gap closed, Madara was the one to kick off the massacre by sending dozens of shinobi flying through the air like Hogwarts just had a mass Expelliarmus malfunction. Like, really listen to the sound of this scene. You think it's the 4th of July the way it sounds like a fat box of fireworks is being set off. This man was moving so fast that I had to activate my sharingan just to analyze the fight. Look at this foolish leaf ninja get kicked to the side. Got him folded up like a lawn chair. Then he finds his next target and kicks him out the frame, weaves this man's weak ass swing with the staff, and uses that momentum to uppercut the bandana off his head. But none of these guys got done as dirty as my brother right here. This nigga just slid on his head through the sand backwards. And what made it worse was the finishing pose. Held that junk like he was gonna get extra points. Even if you manage to survive this, your life is over. Imagine being found like this. You can never live this down. At every function, this will be mentioned. Your only option is to air out the scene every time. Hey, you remember that time in the war when you don't get me started on this uncoordinated ass man right here. Hands just up for no reason trying to hide your face. Take that mask off, boy. Then, boing, cranium got turned into a launch pad. Now you really need the mask, but he got a missing tooth and a face full of drool. Now Madara's flying through the air looking for the next group of sorry bums to sauce up, and sadly, he found his lucky few. He finally lands, and just with his impact alone, he sends multiple dudes flying. But oddly enough, some of them are still standing. Yeah, you're caught, buddy. They definitely flew back on purpose, but shit, I would have done the same thing. I don't care to leave here with pride. I'm trying to leave here with my life. Like, look how he mixed up the rest of them. That was a wise business decision. Now he's making his rounds through more of the crowd, while ninjas in the back just watch and do nothing. You're telling me not one of these ninjas have a jutsu that could work perfectly while he's distracted? A water prison jutsu, a shadow possession jutsu, something. Cause this plan is clearly not working. Keep old boy hit buddy with a back fist, then weave this attack and karate chop him to the ground. He then weaves this half-hearted sword swipe, hits his scared ass with his second juicy back fist of the day, then kicks the taste buds out this ninja's mouth. Look at his neck. Out here looking like an owl with this full 180 rotation. Prayers to this man. Madara then weaves this nigga's kunai swing and somehow manages to toss him. Then quickly caves in the chest of this ninja and immediately starts scouring the scene with those scarlet red eyes for more potential victims. Now I know that sequence was a lot to take in. From all the facial reconstructions to the half-hearted pointless attacks, all you can really do is sit here and watch this man dunk his balls on their head. But I would like to take it back a little and bring something to your attention. In just this itty bitty section alone, how many kunais did you count? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kunais total. Now how many scratches do we see on Madara? Well, let's just take a look-see. 1, 2, 3, none! So why the fuck are we still using kunais? Listen, don't get me wrong, there's no bigger fan of straight fisticuffs than me, but it gets to a point where I'm just asking myself, are these niggas even capable of ninjutsu? Or do we just got a bunch of sorry ass Z-tier versions of Rock Lee on the pitch? Gaara must have heard my frustration though, because he was about to shake things up with some long distance attacks, but Tamari decided to get in her coaching bag talking about some
Gaara, you and the Tsuchi Kage have to recover first. Naruto, use that mode instead of your shadow clone.
Tamari, I love you, but who the fuck do you feel like? Pep Guardiola? Making commands like you the leader. Pipe down, bitch, pipe down. Naruto politely told her that he cannot go into KCM1 right now, but I'm gonna tell you what he really wanted to say. Go into that mode? I got multiple shadow clones running around this bitch putting in work. I'm tired. The Gatorade symbol's been on. Matter of fact, fuck a Gatorade. I need an IV. Just close them lips, move that fan of yours, and keep us cool. Also, why does the back of your head look like a Pokemon? Then cut back to Madara, and this man is moving. If we want to talk about aura, Madara doesn't just have it. He is aura. Like, look how smooth he is. Slices up bro like some juicy watermelon. Mind you, this is probably his sword. Deflects this sword, then bumps him out the frame. Slices How do some of y'all become shinobi? Brother, you could have chose to be a florist. I promise you we wouldn't judge. This life is not meant for you. Madara sliced homeboy to the ground, then diced up a few more shinobi. Then this ninja with a nasty beard lineup starts to use his brain and launches a kunai at Madara with a paper bomb attached to it while he's fighting the others. But Madara turns around and no look catches the kunai, rips the paper bomb off the back, sticks it onto another shinobi's gut, launches the kunai back at the missing mustache man, kicks homeboy into a group of his peoples, then lets that bomb turn him into confetti. Now after a sequence like that, you think he'd aura farm just a little bit, but he's so cold that this is just an ordinary Tuesday for him. So instead, he continues to chop these niggas up during the blast. He was putting in so much pain that the sword got tired and exited the match. So he bonks this ninja out the frame, blocks this shinobi's right swing, then bends that arm in directions only a pipe cleaner should bend. Another shinobi charges in with his kunai, so Madara dodges that attack, but while he was distracted, two hands come reaching out the ground to grab him. But this demon is just too quick. And not only is he quick, he's flexible too. Because while in the air, this nigga turns around and hits them with a 10 out of 10 split kick. And to put the cherry on top, he whips out a kunai in midair and stabs homeboy in his dome. What a way to go out. I'm gonna give this man his props though. One of the very few niggas to get creative and do something a little left field. We gotta clap that up.
Yes, sir.
But he still got turned into a unicorn though. He wouldn't let that shit happen to me though. Now Madara's just zipping through the air, racking up bodies with immense speed like he's a college freshman. There is literally not one shinobi on this battlefield that could hang. He's really just having fun out there. Like, look how he froze dude with his sharingan. Niggas probably stuck in the nastiest genjutsu known to man. Madara continues to stun on these niggas until one of them seems to piss him off for seemingly no reason. So after dodging her attacks from her fart-covered sword, he grabs her by her neck and says, "You want to dance with me as well?" But by the way he slaughtered these other shinobi, that would have to be a hard pass. Dance? No. I don't even like music. I'm a numbers guy. But thankfully for her, Madara didn't get to squeeze the life out of her because a giant blast of wind managed to launch this man back 100 yards. Okay, Tamari, that's how you do it. Listen, you could get turned inside out and folded like a white tee in the next 2.3 seconds. But just know, off of this blow alone, you will be going down in shinobi history. As decent of a blow as this was, I already knew it was gonna be nothing compared to what Madara had in store. So when he got up and made that triangle hand sign, I knew they were all deep fried. That fire style jutsu was so violent, it took a dozen men to simply match it. And even after the flames were calm, the steamy sky had an eerie stillness. But not for long, because Madara decided to send a whole bunch of fireballs raining down on them while simultaneously amputating niggas in the process. This time though, he's getting some resistance from Gaara, and after blocking that swinging kick, Gaara rushes a wave of sand at Madara, forcing him to flip, juke, and jive around it. But to my surprise, that was exactly what they wanted him to do, because once he was in place, a fat shiny Rasengan is throbbing right over his head. And to top the move off, the garden gnome raises the platform Madara was standing on to smash him into Naruto's Rasengan. The blast was so strong, it even sent a whole bunch of their own men flying, and not at no regular speeds either. Look at how fast bro flew past the camera. That nigga's gotta be dead. R.I.P. Rest in pieces. Matter of fact, in loving memory of homeboy right here, go ahead and like and subscribe to pay your respects. Come on, just do it. We're trying to hit 250 before the end of the summer, and you know I'm gonna get y'all right with that Sasuke vs Itachi vid. So go ahead and drop that like, please. Help me help you. With a blast that vicious, you would have thought that the Rasengan connected, right?
Yes.
Wrong. Because that menace Madara managed to activate his Susanoo right before impact, so he was able to block it, then punch it away. Now he's standing 200 meters tall, glaring at them with his Mangekyo Sharingan. And if that wasn't already scary enough, this man boots up two giant Susanoo blades that got the frontline ninjas stepping back. Press up, big fella. Everyone's ready to die for their village until it's actually time to die for the village. Gaara can see the knees of some of his shinobis about to buckle, so he asks Naruto if he's ready for their planned attack. Unfortunately, Naruto is not ready. He just needs them to stall for a few more minutes. But these ninjas don't have a few more minutes. Some of them don't even have a few more seconds. Time is of the essence. No Thames. We need you ready by yesterday. Look how many ninjas are getting wiped out with each blow. You gotta get it together muy rápido. Gaara tries to help them out by restraining the Susanoo with his sand. So Madara's Susanoo creates another pair of arms with two more swords and blows dozens of ninjas away. But while they're still in the air, Naruto says,
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm all ready now.
and that is when we see him posted up with his giant Rasen Shuriken ready to do some damage. Okay, Naruto, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all should have been had this ready. Now, as nasty as that Rasen Shuriken looks, the Kage knows he's gonna need some backup. So he activates his light and boulder jutsu, which makes all the sand in the area lighter and faster. So Gaara thanks him and says,
With sand this light, there's no limit to what I could do.
oh, okay, so let's start by sealing this nigga. Gaara then rushes a bunch of sand towards Madara Susanoo, but that was just a diversion. So imagine Madara's surprise when a bunch of sand grabs his arm from underneath and drags him out the Susanoo like a bad kid acting up. Now that he's in the air and exposed, Gaara gives Naruto the okay, so he cocks that junk back and yeets it right at his head. But contrary to everyone's expectations, Madara absorbs the Rasen Shuriken with his freshly activated rinnegan. By the looks on everyone's faces, you can tell that this just yanked the heart and determination out the whole Shinobi Alliance. Look around, all these casualties, bodies on bodies on bodies, just wave the white flag. But since they're so determined, Madara decides to turn up the heat 9 trillion degrees with his next attack. After booting up his giant Susanoo, the light from the sky begins to disappear, so they all look up, and judging by their reactions, you can tell they're beyond cooked. Buddy with the locks dropped his sword and began to chuckle. Do you know how hopeless you gotta be to laugh in a situation like this? This man Madara has a moon-sized meteor rushing towards them, ready to take everyone out, including himself. Things are clearly looking very bleak for the Shinobi Alliance, but leave it to Gramps to try and revitalize the team's morale.
It is still far too early to consider giving up. Never quit without even trying. Always do.
Shut up.
This useless Captain Irwin type speech. We're all gonna die. I'm out of here. But while everyone's booking it to find cover, Gramps took it upon himself to rush to the boulder and try and stop it by lightening the load. Look at the fingernails. Peep the screaming. He's putting his back into it and then some. So Gaara, inspired by his efforts, joins in and tries to stop it with his hand. And with the power of teamwork, the two of them miraculously bring the boulder to a halt. Now ninjas are rejoicing, dropping to the floor like the job is finished, but by the dramatic, goofy smiles on everyone's faces and the evil smirk on Madara's, I knew something was fishy. And sadly,
Just what are you going to do about the second one, Onoki?
I was right. That second boulder came crashing down, causing a Lizzo-sized earthquake, wiping out 95% of the Alliance. Gaara's mom came in clutch as usual, shielding him and Temari from the blow. Naruto's clone got saved by the third Raikage's top glazer, and the Kage is somehow still alive but barely breathing. The scraps of the Alliance all come together to have a survivors link up, but the reunion's quickly interrupted when Madara's body rematerializes and tries to summon the Nine Tails. And now, Naruto's clutching his stomach like me after blacking out at Burrito Boys. Kabuto then gives Madara the scouting report on Naruto, telling him that he's the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, and asks him if he'd like to capture him now. But this menace rejects his offer and decides to continue toying with these ninjas by booting up Hashirama's very own wood-style Deep Forest Emergence Jutsu. Alright, damn, that's enough, we get it. Do you have no shame? You already won the battle. What more do you want from me? So Naruto, with the aid of Kurama's chakra, rushes at the giant branches with his Rasengans. And surprisingly, he was able to shred them all to bits. But even with Kurama's help, this clone is at its limits. So Gramps tells him that he'll take over from here. And now he's giving Madara a speech on change in history. But if I'm being honest, I'm not really feeling it. Brother, you're not Obama. Do you know how stubborn this man is? You're not gonna change him. So just as I expected, Madara cuts the yap sesh and charges in for some more action. But the lobby wasn't full just yet, because in the nick of time, Tsunade and the Raikage pulled up to get a piece of the action, ready to kick off the 5 Kage showdown. Overall, a gut-wrenching beatdown. Madara had me looking like these for 90% of the fight. Gramps gets a whopping A. That man may be 4'7", but that heart is 7'6". Buddy clutched up numerous times for the squad, but the skill gap was just too much. Gaara and Naruto both get A-minuses. They played very good supporting roles this fight, and were one of the few ninjas to actually get crafty. Tamari gets a B-. That first hit on Madara was legendary, but Shorty dropped a Kyle Kuzma type stat line in the second half, and in a game 7 like this, that is unacceptable. The rest of the Shinobi Alliance gets a D-. Like, bruh, do I even need to say anything? And finally, the man of the hour gets an S for simply showing us the true power of a god.
I don't really wanna know. Shorty telling me her name. I don't really wanna know. Had to wake up, go to work. I ain't really wanna go. God be with me on my side. He be with me on the low.